this is Harriet Grayson, your host and producer for Community Culture Showcase. Anyway, it must be the fact that I got a COVID shot yesterday. It's must have been dimming my brain. However, I am very glad to see you all, and I have an absolutely wonderful play to discuss with you all, The Diary of Anne Frank. If any of you have had the opportunity to see Ken Burns' documentary about the Holocaust in America, there is discussion in there in many of there's 3 episodes. In a couple of the episodes, they talk about Frank family and how they were hiding out away from the Nazis in a home in the attic in an Amsterdam house, and they were protected by a family. And one of the important things is when you see something like this, and I definitely want you to come and see this play, is the fact of the moral dilemma. We sitting so comfortably in our homes, far away from any kind of hurt in America, would we have the courage? Would we be willing to take a neighbor and hide them, knowing that the Nazis would come, and if they came, they would kill us? That is an incredible thing, and that's part of the moral question that we're going to talk about today. So The Diary of Anne Frank is being produced by the Granite Theater in Westerly, Rhode Island. You need to get online on Granite Theater spelled with an re.org/tickets, and get yourself some tickets for you, your family, everybody you know, especially young people. They should have this experience. They should have an idea about what was going on. So we are doing such a poor job of teaching American history, let alone European history, that people should see what a monster there was and how so many people were caught on and thought he was the hero of the day. And I'm talking about Adolf Hitler. So again, this is an opportunity in a soft way for you to see and understand what people were going through in the 1930s and 40s. And I have with us the artistic director of Fireball, a wonderful person who has taken that theater, lovely community theater, turned it on its head, and has produced this incredible play. Erin, tell us more about the play than I have.
Oh, thank you, Harriet. Thank you for having us. You know, the piece has really spoken to me since I was a child. I was fortunate to learn about the Holocaust and Anne Frank. Actually, it was like 5th or 6th grade. And I was always fascinated by the character of Anne, played by Emma Sheldon here. And she spoke to me growing up, just her spirit, her luminous spirit, her spirit of hope that despite the horrific tragedy that was happening, she thrived, she had faith, she went on, and she was a light for all, and she continues to be. And this is just a vital story that I believe we all need to tell. It's a story that we don't hear enough about, and it's a story that can change our perspective on hate, on racism, on everything that's going on in the world today. And it was important when I became the artistic director that I choose stories that were going to touch lives, that were going to make an impact. And this has been a bucket list project for me, and I've been so fortunate to have put together an incredible cast and to have a wonderful team to support us. So we're thrilled that we're going to be able to present this production.
And I have to say that I think as an artistic director, not only have you chosen interesting pieces,
yes,
you must be very picky about the casts that you have selected, because they are, I'm a season holder. I've gone to all the plays.
We appreciate
that. Donate money to the theater, and just the choices are just fantastic, and you take a lot of time and effort, I suspect, in creating the right kind of cast, and my hat's off for you.
Thank you. That's very important to me, and when I became the artistic director, it was important to me to bring new faces to the Granite Theater, faces young and old, and faces of lots of experience as well. We've had actors come from New York already this season, and we're just thrilled to present these works for you. And most special to me is, I have to admit, this piece we're doing today.
Wonderful, wonderful. So the cast is here with us,
yes,
or part of the cast. Part of the cast. And so tell us a little bit about well, first of all, your name and what part you play, and something about what drew you to this part, your experience as an actor, whatever you want to tell the audience.
Okay. My name is Christine Healy, and I play the part of Edith Frank. When I first heard that Erin was doing this production, I felt that it was extremely, extremely important because it's so relevant to our lives today. Just in sort of what you were saying, would we have the courage to stand by and protect someone who needed that protection? And so when I heard that this play was coming around, I thought I have to audition for this. So I'm very pleased to be playing Anna's mother. And my acting experience is predominantly theater, but recently I retired early from teaching. So I'm also I have been a teacher for many years, and I'm now doing some film.
Oh, wonderful.
So, yeah, but it's so good to be here and to be part of this amazing cast.
Wonderful, wonderful. There's somebody in the back there. We haven't forgotten. We have a big cast here.
So my name is Alexa, and I am playing Margot's understudy. And I wanted to audition for this show because I'm 13, and in school they don't really teach us much about the Holocaust or Anne Frank's super inspirational story. And I just feel like if I can convey to a younger audience, if I can tell my friends to come see it and talk to them about it, then maybe more younger people can understand the tragedy of this story, but also understand the hope and the feeling of peace that Anne brings people.
Wonderful, wonderful. That's great. That's great.
My name is Patrick Conaway. I play Peter Von Dunn. And I joined this production. I actually heard about it through my parents, who were involved in Granite productions with Erin. And I have been working with Erin ever since I was 10 years old. And so I like to say that I've learned a lot of what I know from her. So my mom was in the California Suite, which was two productions ago.
Right.
And then my dad directed The Importance of Being Earnest, and my mom assistant directed that. So I was hearing about the Diary of Anne Frank was coming up and that they were holding auditions, and it struck me as I always knew Peter was a role that like fit my age group and that it was something I could play. And I heard about the audition and I came out for it because I've never really done dramas before. And I think, like they were saying, this is very important. It's an important piece that younger audiences especially need to hear. And it's really cool to be a part of something like this where normally the stuff I'm in is just comedies or musicals. And so I'm very grateful that I got this opportunity. And I'm a senior in high school, so this is what I want to do with my life. So
Where did you go to high school? Where were you?
I'm at East Lyme High School right now.
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
My name is Bryn Martin. I play Margot. This piece has always been very important to me. My cousin actually played the role of Anne Frank. I was really young, and I remember seeing that show and just being so blown away by it and how poignant and important it is. And so when I heard they were holding auditions for this, I was like, I gotta go out, I gotta do it. And, you know, I think Margot is a very special character, and she, you know, has her own story that unfortunately, you know, she kept a diary herself as well, but it was never found. Oh. But I think it's important to, you know, show that there is importance in all of the characters.
Wonderful, wonderful. We haven't forgotten you, Richard.
Okay. Yeah, my name is Richard Wolak. I live in Westerly, and I play the part of, in the play, Mr. Dussel. Mr. Dussel is actually fashioned after a dentist named Fritz Pfeffer, who was the 8th person in For those of you who know the story, there were two families originally in the annex, one family of 4 with 2 daughters, one family of 3 with a son, and then 2 months in, they took in a local dentist, made things a lot more difficult, but it was interesting that they were willing to do that in what was already a difficult situation. Fritz Pfeffer was, I think, a competent medical person, a bit contentious at times. He was very grateful that he'd been allowed in, obviously, but a bit contentious at times. My interest, I visited the Anne Frank house a few decades ago, probably before most of the cast was born. And that was partly just my interest in World War II history and in what had happened with the Franks. I've kind of maintained that interest over the years, and when this opportunity became available, I was really happy to be able to take part. They needed some parts for older men, and they had one available. It's actually quite a step up for me. My last role at the Granite was as a dead guy. Jacob Marley in A Christmas Carol. So this is a good deal more dynamic. And as I say, yeah, it's a wonderful cast to work with. I'm really looking forward to the production. I haven't done a lot of acting, but I'm really starting to enjoy it.
Now the star of the show.
Hi, I'm Emma Sheldon. I play Anne Frank. Really what drew me to this role, I really love theater for I guess social change or something that brings up a difficult subject. And I feel like this piece is such an important one to be shared because there's not a lot of documentation of what it was like for people when they were trapped and hiding, but Anne has this incredibly descriptive diary of what she felt like, and it's through the eyes of a child. And I think it's just so important to show that not only was Anne an icon and someone we learn from, but she was also a girl who she loved to laugh, and she was popular at school, and she loved to annoy her friends and her sisters. And she's just truly a dynamic and strong girl. And I think it's really important to show that and carry on her story.
Wonderful, wonderful, yes. And how do you hear about auditions? I mean, do you put an ad in the newspaper?
I found it through a Facebook post, and I live an hour away, so I was like, I don't know if I should do this, but it's so worth it. I'm so glad.
Are you a high school student yourself?
Yes, I'm. Oh my gosh, I'm a sophomore. I almost said freshman.
Yeah, and at what school?
North Attleboro High School.
Oh, okay, out there in Massachusetts. You really have put out a big.
We did. Social media these days. That's where you do it, Harriet.
I guess. So, tell me how you got involved with the Granite Theater to begin with as the artistic director. How did that kind of get? I mean, there was a little turmoil there for a few years.
Yes, I know COVID deeply affected the arts industry in general. And, they had their growing pains, I think. But I was very fortunate that they had reached out to me. They sort of were scouting me for a little bit. And
it's always nice to be wanted.
It was it was great to be wanted, but also very humbling. And I was honored. And after several interviews, and I mean several, and a full PowerPoint presentation, I was fortunate to be hired. And hopefully they're going to hire me for next year too.
I certainly hope so. I'll tell you one thing that's very important I notice is, number one, the seats are filled. I go to the performances and most of the seats are actually filled. I mean, there's not too many empty seats in any of these productions. So that means you're capturing an audience. And listen, word of mouth is very important. They always say that. and people talk to each other, and they say, wow, you know, there's a lot of people in West, especially in the summer, who are from, you know, all over the Northeast,
Yes.
who come to visit for, you know, for a week, for the summer, whatever, and word spreads that there's this incredible little community theater that puts on like first-rate entertainment, that we're not talking about the people stumbling and fumbling and bad costumes. I mean, they've taken seriously all the aspects that you think about in terms of what makes fun theater. And it's interesting how we have these young people. I'll ask you, you can take the microphone. What got you interested in theater in the first place? Now, you're younger than I am, but older than them.
I'm not quite as young as all of them, so I probably should hand the microphone over. I just wanted to say I was in the first production that Erin directed at the Granite, and it was in I Hate Hamlet.
Oh, yes.
So the role was very different than what I'm in now. But I noticed that her season was very well selected, and it has such a great variety of parts for not only the community to come and see the different stories, but also for actors who are interested in being part of such a well-oiled machine. So, so I hope that people out there continue to come and fill those seats,
Right.
and know that there's more. And I know she's in the process of planning next season.
Right.
Yes.
So I'm also waiting with bated breath to see what's coming
Exciting.
up. But I'm going to pass the microphone
Okay.
along.
Yes.
Because you don't need my story.
No, we always could use your story, every story. So tell me, what got you interested in theater itself? Just the idea of being on the stage live.
So I have always loved theater since I was like 2 years old. My grandmother, she used to put my stuffed animals in a row and then put me up on this little chair, and she'd let me sing to them, and she'd sit there and she'd applaud me. And then my mom and dad started bringing me to Broadway shows, and I just fell in love with theater and the arts. And I was in Alice in Wonderland at the Granite Theater, which was the first child show
Yes,
at the
yes.
Granite, and I really, that was my first ever Granite show, and I fell in love with the people, the theater, the community that it brought, and acting itself is just a way of converting how I feel, and it's just like an act of expression for me, and that's why I love it.
So you take the part and you provide some kind of description to the audience, and how do you feel about the audience? How do you know when you've got them as they're like suckers to you? They're just waiting for every one of your words to come out. How do you know that when you've got them?
You're not supposed to look at the audience when you're up on stage, but when you take like a glance over and you see all the faces and the eyes in the audience and you see them looking at you, that's just my favorite feeling. And then when the lights go up and you just look out and you see all these people who have come to see you and your amazing group of people perform what you guys have been working on for months.
Right.
It's just the most heartwarming feeling.
Wonderful, wonderful. So tell us, what is it that drives you to the theater? What's the connection that makes it so desirable?
For me, I feel like I found my family in theater, and so when I was 10, I did my first show with Erin. I was in Sousa-Stanley the musical.
Okay.
And I had done like sports before, and I was in choir, and I tried a bunch of stuff, but I never like felt like I found my place. And then I auditioned and went through like 5 callbacks.
Like my interviews.
Yeah. And I got the part of JoJo, who I did not know the show at all, and I went through that whole summer, and we put on the show, and I was like, wow, this is my place.
This is your calling.
Yeah.
This is your calling.
And I had met so many people. I was one of the youngest people in the cast, and that's usually how it goes.
Right.
But ever since then, I've done like 3 or 4 shows a year, and I have never stopped. And now I'm branching out and trying to do the technical stuff as well.
Okay.
And I just think there's such magic in having a live audience and creating a space where you can tell a story with people in a room rather than having it come out later. And I think you're never closer with people than the people that you can do that with. And
Interesting. And do you get that notice in your maybe in your heart, in your soul, that the audience is connecting with you? Can you feel that?
I definitely think in this show you will.
Oh.
Yes.
And there's definitely moments where there's silence and you can just feel it's almost palpable, the tension and either the love or the sadness or whatever emotion. And I think that's the beauty of theater, the beauty of live entertainment.
Are you thinking about studying theater arts in college?
My plan right now is to study film and media production with a minor in theater.
Oh,
Nice.
okay. You're always, that's the fallback to make sure you have a job?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
very good. So tell us, go ahead, tell us what drives you to the theater.
Well, when I was really little, I saw my first ever show. It was Phantom of the Opera.
Okay.
And I just fell in love, and I was like, that's what I want to do. So I signed up for like a little theater camp, and I was always a shy kid, very nervous and anxious, but once I got into theater, it was almost like an escape, and it was a way to just express myself and tell stories, and yeah, and so when COVID happened, even before COVID happened, I kind of took a little break from theater, and then here we are now, and I auditioned for The Importance of Being Earnest, which was the previous show.
I'm sorry I didn't recognize you. That's how good an actress you are. You become part of the role becomes you, so I
Yes.
can't see you in street clothes.
But doing that just completely reminded me why I do what I do and why I love it, and it was just such a professional and amazing experience, and I'm just so thrilled to get to do another one with this amazing group.
So tell me, as you look into the future, is there a particular role that you really, really want?
Oh, there's many.
Many! Oh, many!
But I would
okay.
definitely say full circle Christine and Phantom of the Opera would be
Oh.
fun.
Right.
You sing as well?
I do, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
very good.
She has a terrific voice. Absolutely
okay,
amazing. I've heard it.
okay.
Yes.
All right.
Well, you ask what drives me to the theater, and actually nothing, because I walk to the theater.
I know where you live.
Yeah, you know where I live. You asked earlier about how people found roles. In fact, the first role was in response to a newspaper ad. Man of La Mancha, a couple of years ago, had quite a large cast and needed some minor roles filled. At the time, I was, and still am, pretty much retired, but had been working expedition staff, a lecturer on Antarctic cruises. And when you do that, you have a group of tourist visitors, and a lot of what you're doing for them is acting. And so I thought, well, why not? You know? So it's a later in life thing for me. I certainly learn a lot from the young people
Right.
that I'm now working with. But it's fun. It's a pursuit for me that's different from things I've done in the past,
Right.
but one that I enjoy quite a lot.
Do you ever think perhaps you wish you would have started on this new venture earlier in your life?
I suppose. I think I've been pretty active over the last 20, 30 years with
Right.
other avocations, other pursuits. So I'm not sure what time I would have had for it, but yeah, I think had I done it earlier, I would have been better at it now and would have enjoyed all the time that I was able to do it.
Richard brings a lot of wisdom and knowledge to his roles. So there's something to be said for having as much life experience as
Right.
he's had,
Right.
and his different occupations and such. I see it in his characterization, which is wonderful. Richard brings his own props. Like the second day of rehearsals, he had his own things that he needed for the show, and I was very impressed. And I said, "Wow, I'm so glad he's playing this role."
So Anne, tell us what got you to this point that you're on the center of attention for this show?
I have been doing theater since I think like 3rd grade, so I think I was like 8 or so. And like the first time I can remember like really loving theater is I went to go see Midsummer's Night's Dream at Trinity at Rep like many years ago. I was much younger, and like I remember watching just this one woman and being like I had seats on the stage, and I remember just watching like that's what I want to do. Like I want to be like that. And like I don't know, I just love the way it feels and how I can like bring expression into it, and I don't know, it's just yeah.
How do you know when the audience is just, you got them in your hands?
I feel it's so hard to describe, but it's almost like the air goes stale or stiff, and like you can feel that everyone's breath is like hitched almost, like there's complete silence, and it's almost like it's a weird feeling, but it's like very powerful, and it's like
Now you've had a variety of different kinds of roles,
yeah.
And comedy, musicals, drama. Is this the first drama that you've done?
No, I do mainly dramas right now. I
Okay.
can't carry a tune, but this is definitely one of, and it might be my favorite thing I've ever worked on.
Well, you're young, so hopefully there'll be many more to come.
It was very competitive, I want to say, for the role of Anne.
I bet.
Of course, we wanted to find the most perfect actress, and that is what Emma is to this show. It was clear that she had such a passion for the story and a passion for acting, and brings great knowledge to the role as well. She's so invested in it. Last night, Harriet, we worked through the final scene when the Nazis come, and we were all in tears.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about how we were going to do that over and over again. And I talked to Emma about how she's the symbol of hope and how she can't cry at the end.
Oh.
It is that strength that she needs to show. But I mean, it was so moving. And part of that was just looking into her eyes and seeing how connected she is to this role. And so, like all of the actors,
Right.
The audience is going to fall in love with them when they come, and they're going to be invested. And I believe we're going to hear a pin drop in that audience.
That is fantastic.
So-
Now, this play is at the Granite Theater from October 14th through the 29th. There's the poster. It gives you the information. And again, go online or call the box office and take a seat. We're going to have, its opening night is on Friday night, October 14th. Because this performance, the whole production, is sponsored by Congregation Sheharazedek, we wanted to respect the Jewish Sabbath. So our actual reception will be on Saturday night, October 15th, and there are no, come to the reception at 7 o'clock, and then buy tickets for sure to come to the show at 8 o'clock and to just enjoy this. We have so many lovely actors here, a lot of young people. It's a way of taking your young people and bringing them to the theater and experiencing this, and sort of in a very loving way, learn about history which was terribly destructive, and which, still the ramifications are still, they're still there in Europe to this very day. But it's and then on October 16th, which is going to be a matinee on Sunday, we're going to have what Erin taught me a new word, a talkback. So I had no idea, but anyway, so talkback for me was going to be like, and will be, like a little panel discussion. We have 2 visitors from the Holocaust Education Center from Providence, Rhode Island, who are going to come down. We have a local DJ who's going to be the moderator. Erin and I will be on the stage, and maybe some of the actors will be on the stage, and we'll have, hopefully the audience will have lots of questions, or ask for information, or ask some of the same questions I'm asking you right now, to get a sense as to how this thing got rolling in the first place. I mean, Erin is such a talent. Is not only is she a director, she's the costume designer.
Well, I fill in the roles that are needed. An artistic director sort of wears all the hats.
I see.
I actually enjoy designing costumes, but whatever's needed to be done, props, they often find me on the set, working on the set, and getting the furniture we need, or whatever painting, whatever needs to be done. That's my job.
And she's been very cooperative with me in terms of trying to get, the kind of themes going. So I am a member of the League of Women Voters.
Right.
So we're trying to get out the vote. What that has to do with Anne Frank, nothing at all. However, it's an instrument. It's, as you actors know, it's a way of moving an audience somewhere. So the following Saturday night, so I think that's the 22nd,
Yes.
I'm trying to get the League's women to come on out, and I promised them, I didn't even ask you, but I promised them a little table where there's get out the vote information.
Yeah, I'm sure we can do something like that.
Yeah, I knew that you would be
It's
accommodating.
important.
That's the kind of a simple thing. And then the League of Women Voters, completely nonpartisan. We never support a particular candidate for office. What we support is making voting easy, as
That's
easy
important.
as possible.
Right.
And in Rhode Island, because of COVID, they did loosen up the rules, which had really been fairly restrictive. And now you have early voting, and you can you don't need a signed affidavit to get a mail-in ballot. I mean, they've made some changes because of COVID, and they this year made some legislation to make it possible that this will be more permanent, because it's a good thing. You want people to have time to vote. People are busy and they can't always come on down to the poll place. So anyway, so that's trying to enlarge the kinds of groups that will find this to be interesting and are part of the community. So, and of course, you as the actors, you want to make sure every seat is filled. So I'm sure you're out there, every relative you have in the world. Hopefully they're not in Florida. We'll make sure that they can come on up and watch you perform. And is it the same actors, or did I get a sense there are some roles that require 2 actors?
There are a few roles that are understudied, like the role of Margot, played by Alexa, and the role of Anne is being understudied by Natalie Frances, who is a Westerly resident, and she is a freshman at Westerly High School.
Oh, nice.
And she's actually, I wanted to thank you, Harriet, on air too, your congregation, and the Harriet and Rose Schlossberg Fund, for helping make it possible so that we could have students come for free to our special student performances on October 19th and the 26th. And we have invited area high schools, and when Westerly High School comes, Natalie will be taking the role of Anne.
Oh,
so
nice.
It'll be great for her to have the opportunity to do that for her classmates. And it'll just be wonderful for all of us to give back to our community. We have Stonington High School coming, St. Michael's hopefully, North Stonington Christian Academy. We've reached out to as many schools as possible to provide the opportunity for these students to come free of charge. Thankfully, because of Grace Sale, they have sponsored the buses and are helping us provide snacks for all the students in attendance. And we're grateful to all the donations that are coming in to support the production. It's still not too late to donate.
Absolutely.
We appreciate it. We're putting it towards the students and having more seats available, and also offering discounted student tickets on 2 of the performances. And we're just thrilled to be able to do that, and we thank you for your support and everyone involved.
Yes, my
very
pleasure.
much. And
yes.
we're so we're so honored to be able to present this for our community and give back. You know, we changed our slogan this year when I came in. It's the little theater with the big heart. And this is just a small thing that we can do.
No, this is the choice. When I saw this, because I've been a subscriber for I don't know, a dozen years at least, and I saw that and I said, wow, now this is something that the Jewish community, which is very small in Westerly, could be able to put their hands around, because it's not a good idea anymore to be quiet.
No.
If anything Anne Frank's story teaches you, and what's going on in the world is just not a good thing to be quiet. You have to speak up for things that when there are injustices. We can't just turn our eyes and let it go. No. It's very important that we make our voices known. So now none of us are going to volunteer to go fight in the Ukrainian war, but in our small way, we show what can happen and how it is through people, individual people. You get the Frank family. You kind of feel what's going on through their eyes, and that gives you a sense of the bigger picture. It's very hard for people to go and read a history book, and especially younger people. They're, to read about European history, they don't get it. They don't get it. So I convinced our board of directors, I know that they're always can be a little tricky. I said, this is our opportunity to make it a community event. It's not our event, it's not the Granite Theater event, it's a community event to get as much community, and particularly because Erin has this talent for getting really young professionals, and I call you guys professionals already, to bring out the very best in them. And so a kid in the audience who is 15, 17, can relate to a story when they see someone that sort of looks like them, even though you might be more handsome than they are. Nonetheless, they have a sense when they read a dry book or the teacher tells them about this or that, even in the best of school settings, it's not the same. Come to the theater and you see a performance and you see someone, oh my goodness, yes. What would I have done? Could I be Anne Frank? Could I have written this diary? Could I have made all the pictures and had the wherewithal to put it all together? I mean, Anne Frank was 13 years old when she started that diary. And I don't know, maybe you know the details of how someone actually found the diary, but it has since been translated in 70 languages. Yes. The play itself has been seen around the world. Yes. The original play, A Diary of Anne Frank, was in the 1950s, was on Broadway.
It won the Pulitzer Prize. It won the Tony that year. Yes. It also won the Critics Circle Award. I mean, it's an incredible piece, and it's something we all need to see.
Exactly, and it's timeless, unfortunately. Yes. Because cruelty and what's going on in the world, as much as we would like to live in a happy, healthy world, doesn't happen that way. So we have our voices known, and nothing better than theater, sometimes music, but theater and music are ways of taking a very difficult subject, because there's nothing easy about learning about the Holocaust. It is hardly something that is light reading. So instead of just seeing pictures, and Ken Burns has done a wonderful job of bringing the Holocaust to American audiences. Right. But still, you see photographs, you see some video, but when you go to the theater and you see actors relating to something like this, it makes a big difference. And so we are grateful. Are you going to give us a sneak preview about what's going to happen next year?
Oh. I don't know if I can do that yet.
Oh, okay. I know you have a board of directors.
I do have a board of directors. I have several bosses I have to report to. I will tell you that Granite audiences should be excited, because we're definitely bringing back our youth production, which was so successful this year. And in addition, we are going to have 2 musicals. So you're going to see probably 3 musicals next year in our schedule of 8 productions. And you're going to see some new stuff. I always like to bring in a new work. And you're going to see some of your old favorites. and important stories, just like I wanted to do this year.
Yes.
And, so I think the audiences will be excited. We have a new subscription package that's going to be launching very soon, including a Flex Pass that will allow you to purchase just 4 shows this season in case you're traveling and you're away, because that would be the only reason you miss it, I'm sure.
Of course. So when you're thinking, and you don't have to reveal the names.
It's
but
okay, yeah.
And when you're thinking 23, you've had this first year, which would you think that it was done? Did you enjoy it? Was it successful?
Did I enjoy this year?
Yeah. Did you feel that it was successful? You as the artistic director?
I humbly say I believe it was successful.
Okay.
I do. And I think I learned a lot, and there were growing pains, but I think we thrived, and it is very clear that we have brought in new audiences and also continue to keep our strong patronage of, our season ticket holders like yourself. We kept you happy, Harriet. So I think we did some good things, and it's just been amazing to bring in new volunteers and new team members and crew and staff, and we've all worked together as a team. Right? You have to be a team. It's not just about me. It's about our board of directors, our fabulous theater manager, Jenny Gilbert, who makes my life easier daily. It's director David Conaway, who came in this year to help me and give me a little break, who was fantastic. But there's so many people that have been supportive, and I've been really appreciative of the community for supporting me and supporting our theater, especially after the pandemic when we needed the support. And we hope to do it again, bigger, better than before. So if you liked this year,
we're going to love next year.
You're going to love
next year. It's even going to be bigger and better. So how do you, when you're thinking now, you had a great success here in your inauguration, and now what's year 2 going to be? Give me just a sense as to what you'll be looking for.
Year 2. Well, I'm looking for some, I love to start the season with a big comedy that makes everybody come back to the theater and laugh. So I can promise you that that's what's going to happen.
Okay, all right. Everybody likes a good comedy.
Right, a good comedy that, kind of a slapstick, laughing out loud kind of comedy. I'm looking forward to doing that. We're going to bring a little thriller to the table, I think.
Yes, maybe an Agatha Christie mystery?
Well, maybe it's a book that's been pretty famous. About a certain girl and her train. Maybe.
Okay.
Perhaps.
All right.
A little something different.
Yeah.
And I'm going to bring, we have a couple of youth musicals that we're looking at right now, and we're really excited about that. And we're going to extend that a little bit longer so they get to do more performances, because we sold out and we didn't have enough seats.
For Alice in Wonderland?
Yes.
That was, my husband went to see that and said, oh, kids, really? It was wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
It was surprisingly wonderful, because his anticipation was, oh no, they'll forget their lines and they'll be falling all over the stage, and none of that happened. None of that happened. The kids were adorable. You wanted to take them home and go home with them, and you think, wow, these were all a bunch of little Shirley Temples, and who knows, childhood actors who grow up, many of them not happily, but we want these to grow up and be happy. And then you notice the actors that then reappear.
Yes, you do. And, that's where Patrick got his start, and Alexa, right in my youth productions. And look at them now.
Yes, my goodness gracious.
That's why it's so important to bring the youth to the stage as well.
Yes,
it's
absolutely.
so important. And that's where they develop their skills and learn their techniques. And then they get the appreciation of what it's like to perform. And we know that feeling is pretty amazing. So
well, it gives you confidence, I would think, as a young person, especially a little kid.
Yeah.
You can get on. You think of Shirley Temple; she's going to sing and dance right on the table.
Yeah.
And it does give you a sense of, I think, confidence that you can do a whole bunch of things that maybe someone else could not. You know, it's the equivalent of doing public speaking, but it's part of something that's a lot more fun, and it's easier to learn the lines than you might as a public speaker. So,
Right.
do kids that you go to school with ask you about how do you get to do this kind of stuff, and do you like it, and do you think? What do you think? I got 4 of you must be in high school. What do you think?
Yeah, I did the theater at my school 2 times, and I've been doing like bigger projects like this outside of high school. So like a lot of them will ask me like how I get like started and stuff, and I like honestly for me it was just about creating a community of people who we could talk to each other and like, hey, I saw this audition, I think it would be great for you. But like that's how I found out about this. So
Do your parents mind taking you around from place to place?
they haven't complained yet,
Okay.
but it is an hour and 10-minute drives. God bless them. So
Do they want you to drive, or they drive you?
if I could drive on my own, I think they would be a lot happier.
Okay.
Got a few more months.
I think even Emma's grandma takes part sometimes driving her. And yeah, it's pretty special, I think. You know, my family did that for me when I was a young actress. Everybody pitched in to drive me all over the place, but Emma's family is very supportive, and that's what it takes when you're a young artist.
Exactly,
you know?
exactly.
It's
Whether
very
you were
important.
a musician going to having a band and performing somewhere, you need someone to carry you. To carry your stuff around. Of course, as actors, you don't have to carry instruments, right. You don't need a roadie, exactly. You just need yourself. And maybe the costume that Erin designed for you. But
Well, I'm not designing this one. I have to
Oh.
give props to Linda Allen, is our costume designer, and she has brought in some really amazing, authentic, 1940s wear. It's going to be just really, it's important to us that it's authentic,
Yes.
you know, and it is period. And she's worked so hard on that. So I'm thrilled to have her as part of our design team, along with Chris Donahue, who is designing the set. He's terrific, and I think audiences are going to just be in awe when they see this set. I don't want to give away, even the actors don't know everything that we're planning.
Oh, okay, all right.
And it's going to be very powerful, and that's what we want.
Well,
it
the
to
set
be.
is important.
Yes.
I think in general your sets have been quite nice.
Thank you.
I mean, you have a space, and that's all you can do with it.
Right. It's a small space. There's not much room in the wings, which we found out when we did Shrek, the musical.
Knocking into one another. as you
Yeah,
went
banging
through
into
there.
everybody trying to fit in. But we've also had a wonderful team member, Liz Hall, who is a dear friend of mine who's been doing who's the props mistress and set decor. And her and I work hand in hand together, and we've been able to, with her brilliance, just really bring the audience to the exact time and place necessary. So, and I think that's so important. So like I said, it's a team.
Yeah, well, the actors are required to take the props off the set. I see that in between scenes.
Oh, yeah. Well, we did have to do that with the last one because we didn't have enough room for everything with our small set.
Yes, yes.
And in this piece, the actors, there won't be anybody in the annex but the people that are living there. So that's going to be a challenge. We've been working on that already, and we're going to be bringing in, because Harriet, they come dressed in many layers.
Oh, yes.
Because they weren't able to bring suitcases or
Right.
anything. So we are really authentic with that, and they're going to come on stage and take their clothes off in different layers and multiple
no,
costumes.
that's right, that's good.
Multiple costumes, and lots of different period props that they'll be using. So.
Well, I think what happens, simply because Westerly is a relatively small community,
Yes.
is that your fame follows you. So a success builds on a success. And so there is the people who were, I'm not so sure about the Granite Theater. They hear from neighbors, people. You get some nice reviews in the Sun.
Thank you, Nancy Burns Fusaro.
Yes. I wish more people read the newspaper.
Right.
But yes, so that people say, oh
Yes.
yeah, Yeah. This looks good. This looks good. I'll give this a try.
And Rona Mann has been a big supporter too
yes.
at WBLQ. And we got to speak on her show a few times, and just her support as well with our donations for the student performances has been amazing. So we appreciate it.
And it's so important to understand that word of mouth tends to be so important for any theater in general. And I have friends who have been traveling from the northern part of Connecticut all the way to Rhode Island and even further away. And once they hear about the productions and the quality, they come back and they tell their friends.
Right.
And so they bring more people. So many people who have come, starting with I Hate Hamlet and then throughout the season, have said, I didn't even realize this gem was sitting right here. And so they're, like I said, more word of mouth. They've come to other productions, and they're looking forward to next season as well.
And they know how to park, so they know where to park, so they don't get caught up in what a pain.
Oh, that's a trick.
Yeah, what a pain in the neck it is to park. Once they filled up the town hall.
Well, maybe we'll have such a successful season next year, we'll be able to afford some parking and a rehearsal space. That's my goal.
That is wonderful. That is wonderful. So anybody else want to, as we're kind of closing down our wonderful show here, young actors, I'm just absolutely impressed. I was never into acting per se, but I was a musician, a terrible one, but nonetheless, I was a musician, and so I know that was my dream when I was growing up. And I'm probably older than your grandparents. Growing up in the 1960s, we didn't think about theater so much as we thought about we were going to be like the Beatles. We were going to get, a garage band, just like them. We're going to create a song, melodic, necessarily thought-provoking, and we'll get a couple of musicians, not great musicians, but a couple of musicians, and we'll have our band, and we're going to be famous like the Beatles. Well, never happened. But there was that sense that music was the catalyst in the 1960s, and also became the catalyst for songwriters to sort of give balance to the Vietnam War and some of the crazy stuff that was going on. It was music and musicians who were part of that. Even though where I went to school, they used to do is we'd have a theater class, and not that we were going to be actors. What was better than that, they put us on a bus, and we would go to Broadway like every couple of weeks and see a show.
Wow, that's a dream come true. I wish I went to school like that.
So, and it was part of the New York City public schools. I mean, at a time when they really, again, we're talking in the 1960s, and there was lots of wonderful stuff. And my mother in particular liked theater, so she used to take me to a bunch of different shows also. But that school experience was wonderful, and we were all, high school students. I think it was, in our case, it was an elective in senior year of high school, because you'd finished all your English classes and you had taken the English Regents, and there was no more of English, and so this was an elective that we actually had, we could take. And there was about 25 kids that were on the bus with me week after week, and we just had a hell of a good time.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned music, because that's kind of how I got brought into theater. My parents are very musical. My dad's still in a band somehow.
Gosh.
And so they did theater all of their lives, and they were friends with Erin, and so they heard about this show that they were doing and then invited me to audition, and then that's where I did it. But so I grew up in this musical background.
Right.
And now at school, I'm in choir class, and we take once a year we go and see a Broadway trip as opposed to once a week. That is so nice. I would love that. But me and one of my friends at school actually had to campaign for the theater class to run again, because the arts at my school are so underrepresented, and they're just not known as much. And so this class was called Theater Appreciation, and it hadn't run for many years. So I got together with one of my friends who was in theater, and we texted probably 50 people just to get the 10 people we needed to get it to run.
Wow.
And we got it to run last year, and it's running again this year. And I'm actually going to be the teacher's assistant for it to help teach like the tech stuff and just help with any warm-ups and all the stuff. So like,
Great.
I think, like you were saying, the musical background is really helpful, and once you get in, you're kind of stuck there.
Well, you get to, I think you learn discipline. So I played rather awfully. First, the accordion I played pretty well. That doesn't take a lot of skill. But then I played the clarinet, which I did a terrible job at. But it only had one reed, and it was easy to put in my backpack and go on the bus. So my mother would say, well, why'd you choose this instrument? I said, well, I could put it on the bus. But I said, but don't you love Benny Goodman? And she said, oh yeah, of course, that's it. Well, listen, it was wonderful to have you guys on here. And maybe the Christmas Carol's coming up next, right?
It is. We're excited.
And maybe some of these actors will be there again.
Maybe.
Who knows? Well, we can have you back in the TV studio, and we can talk about Christmas Carol, which has been around for ages and ages.
It has.
But you can always put a little new twist on it.
Well, that's happening, Harriet.
Yes. I'm
I
expecting
think you
a
heard
new
my
twist.
speech. Little
Yes.
twist.
Yes, a new twist for sure.
A new
for sure.
twist and more music, maybe even a little dancing.
Oh,
It's going to
okay.
be
All right.
the
Great.
perfect holiday experience for the families coming to the theater. So we hope you'll all join us. And auditions are this Sunday. Well, I hope this will air by then. But
Yes.
this Sunday, October 2nd, at the theater from 2 to 5 p.m. And we hope you'll come out.
Well, it's been wonderful to have you guys here, and I want to thank you. So this is Harriet Grayson, who's your host and producer, a community culture showcase. You can catch us on YouTube, and you can see all our other shows as well. And we want to have you come on next time, watch this thing, and by all means, you got to get to the Granite Theater and see A Diary of Anne Frank. You'll be sorry if you miss this performance. Well, I thank you, and one other thing is our prayers are out to all those people in Florida. I've got lots of relatives. Hopefully, it's only a house. It's not a life. Just to remember that. So good night, and we'll see you again.